Joining us today for our presentation. My name is Brittany Besant. I'm the Executive Director of ChamberSOUTH, so thank you so much for being here. Before we really truly get started, I have a couple of housekeeping rules, so if you can please keep yourself on mute. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we will address them at the end of the presentation, or if Norman's able to monitor the chat window while he's doing the presentation, we'll try to address them as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Norman. Before I introduce him, he has a little bit of an activity, sort of a Price is Right game that he wants to play with a few of our attendees. So we need 3 people. If we can have 3 volunteers, if I can see you, if you just want to raise your hand, 3 volunteers to play or to do a little activity with Norman. Come on, guys. Baldwin, yay. Mindy, awesome. Paula, did you raise your hand? Awesome. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've got our 3 volunteers. Norman, it's going to be Baldwin, Mindy, and Paula. They're all their videos turned on. You can communicate and interact with them. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce Norman. So today's presentation is by Mr. Norman Axelman. He is a nationally acclaimed computer instructor and consultant. With over 25 years of professional experience, Norman provides outstanding level computer training with a focus on useful and practical day-to-day functions and features, resulting in increased efficiency and productivity. This training is offered on a one-on-one basis, usually for just 1 hour at a time, allowing your clients to learn at their own pace without getting an overkill of information. So I'm really looking forward to today's presentation. Norman, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Every time I do that, I feel like Gilderoy in the Harry Potter movie. I can't help it, for those of you who know that reference. So, first of all, thank you very much, Brittany and Paula and ChamberSOUTH, for inviting me. My name is Norman Axelman. My company is Advantage Computer Solutions. I teach computers, which is kind of silly when you think about it, because everybody knows how to use their computers. We've been doing it for over 30 years already. I like to say work smarter, not harder should not just be a cliche. I am going to give you a quick analogy to try to get things going here a little bit, and then I'm going to show you some pretty cool stuff, and then I'm going to teach you some amazing features that'll razzle and dazzle you, hopefully. Okay, so here you are in charge of a cleaning project. You have 500,000 square feet in a building, and you're in charge of cleaning the floors. You hire a subcontractor, and you're going to pay by the hour for this job. You come in next Tuesday and see how the work is progressing. Your mouth drops open. You are cussing your fume. There is smoke coming out of your ears. The guy went out and hired 165 people, gave them paper towels with spray bottles with cleaner and wax, and they're on their hands and he's cleaning. And you say, what is going on here? He says, well, it's a big job. They got like 500,000. It's going to take a long time. I need a lot of people. It's me, a big job. You say, are you out of your mind? It's going to take. Okay. I just got unmuted and I just unmuted. Am I still on sound?
You were still on sound. I'm so sorry, Norman. Someone was trying to get into our meeting and I accidentally unmuted you because they dropped off. That was my bad. And
okay.
You off, by all means, continue.
Okay. So the guy who's in charge says, what do you think? This is going to take 16,000 hours. I'm not paying you for this. I got machines with rollers and they squirt out the cleaner and the wax. 45, 50 hours tops. That's all it is for this project. You're out. You're fired. Nobody in their right mind would pay somebody for thousands of hours when they have a tool that does the job in a matter of hours. Well, in the computer, we can do a lot of the same thing. I'm going to show you very quickly a presentation, a demo of a few things to get everybody excited, and then I'm going to start teaching you how to do some really incredible things. So the first part of the presentation is going to be this. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see a little bit better. What we have here is we have 1,000 employees in column E, and in column L, we have 60 or 70 different departments. What you need to do is, I'm going to speak really fast. The details are not that important, but here's what we have to do. You need to create a sheet tab on the bottom with the name of every department that appears in that list. You need to copy all 1,000 names one by one into the right sheet and put them in the right place. Then you need to come over here and pick up 4 or 5 columns of reimbursable amounts, if the person has reimbursable amounts, and put them in the right place on the right sheet and format them. Then, based on the position, what kind of work each person does in the company, you have to apply a percentage and build out on top of the other line item, multiply it out through subtotals and totals. Then you need, for accounting purposes, a general ledger code. What kind of expense you're billing out for and a subtotal on the bottom of all those GL codes. That is the project. That is what you need to do. Now, the way we play this game is whoever guesses the amount of time, Paula, you're actually not valid. The one who guesses the closest amount of time without going over wins the grand prize, which, if I'm not mistaken, Brittany, did you say that was a 2019 Chevy Corvette? No? Well, we'll see about that later. Okay, so are my participants ready? How long does it take to do this project? We have contestant number 1, who is? Who do we have?
Baldwin, I'm going to make you contestant number 1.
Okay, I need days, week, hours, minutes. What do you say? How long to do this project? Give me a number. Didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I think he's trying to unmute. Sorry, Baldwin, I'm asking you to, I can't unmute you.
Sorry.
There we go.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I need a number. Days, weeks, minutes, hours, whatever.
It will take me 6 hours.
6 hours. Okay, who's the next contestant?
Miss Mindy Harris.
Mindy, how much time?
I'm gonna say 1 hour.
1 hour, okay, and one more contestant.
Claudia, do you want to throw out a guess? Okay.
Sure. I'm going to say 4 hours.
4 hours, so 6 hours, 4 hours, and 1 hour. And the winner is, Whitney, get the card keys out for Mindy. Watch carefully because I just created all the sheet tabs. I named them all, brought over all the names, all the amounts, all the formatting, all of the subtotals and totals based on the percentages, all of the subtotals and totals, and it's all done. I'm going to run it a second time because when we do this on a share screen, it sometimes kind of slows down. When I run it a second time, it will run properly. That's just a technical issue. So I'm going to reopen this. But Mindy, you are the grand prize winner. Congratulations. I'm going to reopen this. And watch carefully. There's all the sheet tabs, all the amounts, all the names, all the formatting, all the subtotals, all the totals. It's all done. It's going to run for about 5 or 10 seconds after you see it stop because it's still running in the background. But this is 16 hours of work, realistically, in the real world. And it only took about, it's actually, if you run it on a writing machine without the share screen, it takes about 10 seconds. So Mindy, you were the closest. And every single sheet tab now has all the information. You're going to see it any second now. There it is. What do you think of that?
Wow.
That is the power of computers that people need. Why should be people, again, the analogy with the tool, right? Why should people be paid to do work? Okay, let's look at our second example. Mary needed to do a mail merge. She could not do a mail merge because she had information in the wrong setup. She needed to have title and name and address across the top and then have everything set up in a proper spreadsheet format. How long would it take to cut and paste all the information? Well, I did this. It's all done. But no, the boss doesn't like it. He wants to have first and last name separate. So you have last name, comma, first name, not acceptable. So you have 4,000 names. It's 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, and it's a holiday weekend, and you're going to be in tears. You're going to be very upset, right? Or I can teach you to insert a column, grab this information, and tell, bam, done, 2 seconds. I'm going to teach you that today in just a few minutes. Wait, the boss doesn't like it. You got 4,000 names, whatever, and he wants them all to be pretty. No big capital letters. They look ugly. So you're going to spend, what, 6 hours, 4:30 Friday. You know the whole story right now. Forget it. You don't have to spend any time. Just do a formula. Bam. Done. And let me just get the names. Done. How cool is that? I'm going to teach you how to do that also today in a few minutes. And one more example, and then we're going to get into the teaching part, which is what you've all been waiting for, I hope. Okay, this is a PDF converted to Excel. It is a mess. You cannot use it. It's a price list. Real world kind of example, right? You need to work with this stuff. Okay, I'm focusing on column E. If there is no quantity in any row, there's no item. So anything else I want to delete. So instead of spending a number of minutes getting rid of everything, I can simply do it in 2 seconds. I'm done. And I'm going to teach you how to do that today as well. Is everybody ready to have some fun? I hope. See, that's the problem when I do this on Zoom. I don't get to hear the crowd roar. And, anyway, it's going to be fun. And here we go. But I see Mindy smiling. That's good. But you may only be smiling because you won that car or not. I don't know. That's up to Brittany. Okay, here we go. I'm going to make this thing a little bit bigger so we can see it. Here is a very simple, boring list of names and information, right? Okay, you need to split up the names, first and last name. Here is the secret. What you need to do is simply insert a column, okay? You can insert a column. That's easy enough. We're good, right? Everybody, no problem. See, a lot of people always tell me, oh, that's so easy for you, Norman, because you know what no, this really is that easy. There's nothing to anything that I do. Anybody can do anything that I do. Okay, we inserted a column, and now we're going to select all the names. That I teach in another session. Okay, once you've done that, these are the names we want to work with. You're going to click on Data from the menu on top. Once you click on Data, you're going to slide over to the right, and there is an icon for text to columns. That's exactly what you want to do. You click on it. There are two ways to split text into columns. You can do delimited or fixed width. Fixed width would be great if you had the same number of characters in every single cell. That almost never happens in the real world. Forget about it. Delimited, it's a fancy word. It means there's a character you can focus on. So you choose Next. Which one of these options is common to every single name in your list? Well, there's a space between the first and last name, so you click space. And then you click Finish, and oh my gosh, you're done. It's that easy. Let's look at another example. You have last name, comma, first name. So what do? I insert a column, very simple. I select all the names. That's also very simple. I'm going to choose Data from the menu. I'm going to slide over to the right until I get to Text to Columns. Good. And I have delimited and fixed width. I'm going to choose delimited. It's Next. Now, I'm not focusing on the space this time. What am I going to focus on? I'm going to focus on the fact that there's a comma, last name, comma, first name. So I'm going to choose comma. And once again, Finish. Bam. There it is. They're split up. How fun is that? It could be 3 hours of work, 5 seconds. One more example. This is a list of parts. They have ID numbers, a reference number. Some have a suffix after a dash and some don't. All right, you know the whole story. It's 20,000 items. It's 4:30 Friday afternoon, holiday weekend, and the boss says you need to separate them. And you do not want to spend till 11 o'clock at night, right? You want to be home with your friends and family. What are you going to do? Panic? No. You're going to insert a column, piece of cake. You only need to insert a column, of course, if there's no blank column already there, obviously. Now, you're going to select all the items. Now, what are you going to do? Data, text to columns. Great. Delimited, that's almost always going to be your choice. Next, now, which one of these is common to every single item reference number in here? Uh-oh, got a problem. There is a choice. How about other? There's no comma, no space, but there is an other character, which is what? A hyphen. Oh my gosh, there it is. You click on Finish, bam. By the way, it works even if you don't say bam. It'll work anyway just fine. So now you split up all the numbers and you can go home. It's really that easy. You can try this at home or in your office and you'll see it works that easily. Okay, so let's move on to the next feature. You have here a list of ID numbers for the Human Resources Department. So you need to split them up because the boss wants you to split up all the numbers from the letters. These could be part numbers, could be anything. Again, real world, simple example of you need to get work done, right? Okay, so how are we going to do this? So everybody says, oh, I know. Norman taught me how to do that. I'm going to select all these, and I'm going to go to Data and Text to Columns, and I'm going to choose Delimited, and then, okay, now it's time to panic. Seriously. There's no tab. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know how that works. Semicolon, there's no comma, no space. There is no delimiter. Now what are you going to do? They're not the same width, and there's no delimiter. You are out of luck. You can't do it using text to columns, but we can do it another way. In this example, there is a consistent number of digits. There's always 5 digits in each person's ID reference, whatever they call it, okay, for human resources. So we can use a text formula called equals right. Oh my gosh, just like equals sum. Equals right, open parentheses. How many characters from the right of that cell do I want? Comma. I want 5 characters from the right. Bam. It's done. I want to copy it down. Here's a great little trick for you. You do not want to click and drag and you go too far and up and down and back and forth. Get your little black plus sign and simply double click it. It will fill in thousands. And you like that one, Mindy, huh? But I'm only picking on you, Mindy, because I can only see you and Bob, the only 2 I can see in this little boxes here. Anyway, just double click it, fills in all the formulas all the way down. And come on, is that easy? Let's look at this again. Equals right. How many characters from the right of that cell to the left do you want? E14. Comma. How many do you want? I want 5. That is it. It's that easy. Okay, let's move up a level, shall we? Can I have a volunteer maybe who wants to give me the formula to get out the letters? I'll give it 10 seconds to see if we have any brave souls out there. If not, I will simply continue. I hope nobody's sleeping out there yet. Okay, here we go. Equals, you're all yelling, even though I can't hear you because you're on mute, equals left, right? Okay, equals left. And it's going to be E14, comma. How many characters do you want from the left? Now we've got another hurdle. It could be 2 characters, it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5. You don't know what number to put in there. It varies. So what if we put either 2 or 3 or 4 characters? No, that will not work. There's no such formula. But let's do this. Logically speaking, if we knew the total number of characters in any given cell, and in this case, we happen to know that there are 5 digits, if we subtracted the 5 digits from the total length of the cell, would we not be left with just the letters? Yes. All we need is a formula that will tell us how many characters are in the cell. And fortunately, it just so happens there is a function called equals len. Equals len gives you the length, the total number of characters in any cell. Oh, that's great, but it's not all that useful. But what if I took the length, the total number of characters, and subtract 5, meaning the number of digits? That will leave me with what? 3 letters. Or if I copy it down, 4 letters or 2 letters. Oh my gosh. So I can nest this formula, equals len E14 minus 5, which evaluates to a number, 2 or 3 or 4. That will become the variable in my left formula. I know it sounds funny in words, but let's just do it and you'll see how it works. Equals left, open parentheses, E14, comma. How many characters do you want? I don't know. But if I take the length of E14 and subtract 5, that whole expression, that formula, len E14 minus 5, evaluates to 2 or 3 or 4, and that's the number that I want to put in there, and that's going to give me all of my letter portions. And that is really, really cool. Basically, you can do anything you want in 5 seconds or less using Excel. Okay, so let's move on now, since we know how to do that. And I will have a little bit of time for questions at the end, and maybe that would be useful if we can handle some questions at the end. We'll see how that works out. We're going to look at another example. I'm going to make this bigger again. Here I have a list of employee ID numbers again. So why am I showing you this? Didn't we already learn how to split this stuff up? By now, you probably realize that Norman is going to show you something else. Okay, here we go. How do you split these up? Text to columns will not work. There's no fixed width, and there is no delimiter. Okay, off the table. How about, no, I can't use logic to determine the length of the number of characters because they're all different. There's 2 or 3 letters, there's 4 or 5 numbers. Now it's time to panic, right? Not yet. Not yet, Bob. What we're going to do is we're going to use a feature that is so remarkable. Brittany, I need to make a little legal disclaimer here. You have to back me up on this one. If anybody falls off their chair and gets hurt, I am not legally responsible. So please back me up on that one, okay? Because what I'm about to show you is so mind-blowing, it's just silly. back in 2013, Microsoft did something really amazing. If there is some type of pattern, letters and numbers, there has to be at least some consistent pattern or you really are out of luck. If there's some type of pattern of letters and numbers, you can identify that pattern and Excel will fill in everything for you automatically like that. This is a feature called Flash Fill. Right next to the text to columns button icon, if you move over just one over, there is an icon that says Flash Fill. Usually when I hover over it, it'll actually show you Flash Fill. The shortcut is Control letter E. So if I am in this cell and I click on Flash Fill, see there it is, Flash Fill, bam. And you don't have to say bam, it works anyway. And here I put the number sequence and I go to Flash Fill, OMG. Is that totally ridiculous or what? But we're not done yet, it gets better. So I haven't heard any thuds yet, but then again, everybody's on mute, so I won't know. But let's say, you know what, the boss had you split up the names before, last name, comma, first name. Now he decided, you know what, I want last name, comma, first name. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. I got 10,000 names. I don't wanna have to do these again. No, you're kidding me, right? No, yes. Flash Fill, somehow they programmed, this is not me, they programmed it to pick up the name, figure you wanted the last part of that other cell in column A, give you a comma and put the first name, and it is done with Flash Fill. And that is pretty amazing stuff. All right, because I'm not doing questions right now, and I can't see everybody, I am going to move along and show you another feature which is pretty amazing and very powerful. Okay, the name of this feature is Conditional Formatting, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. You've got a list of numbers, okay? It's pretty simple. Now, if you wanted to know what the largest and the smallest numbers were, you would simply sort it, and you can see which ones are higher, which ones are lower. No problem, we can sort them. We could even filter them. But what if the boss wants to see all the numbers together in the original report format, but he needs to know, he needs to have highlighted those numbers that are greater than 15,000. Could be, right? Real world example. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select all of our numbers. Piece of cake. Now that we've selected them, we're going to use the home menu. If we go down and to the right, there is a feature called Conditional Formatting, and we can highlight the cells rules. That's going to highlight whatever we want in the cells based on a rule. What is the rule we're looking for? In this case, it's greater than. If the amount is greater than 15,000, you're going to fill with light red. I don't like that. I'm going to change the option to a custom format just because I like to. And the custom format I'm going to choose is bold and purple. Okay, I'm going to accept that format. And now when I click OK, oh my gosh, look at that. Every number greater than 15,000 is now bold and purple. This feature is dynamic. So if I change 15,276 to 14,000, it's going to be black, regular font. If I change 7,000 to 70,000, it will be purple and bold. This is one of my favorite, simplest features in Microsoft Excel. It is so incredibly useful because you don't have to sort or filter, and sometimes it might not be practical to sort and filter, or you want to see all your data anyway. This gives you a chance to use conditional formatting, and that's exactly what it does. It formats the cell based on a condition. If, let's say, you wanted to see all of your new customers in blue, simply highlight your list. From the home menu, we're going to go down to conditional formatting. And after conditional formatting, we're going to choose highlight cells rules. But what are we going to choose this time? Well, it's not greater or less than, but it's actually equal to. And equal to the word new. It's not case sensitive. And again, I'm going to change the format because I don't like that one. A custom format, I'll make it bold, and I'll make the color blue. And that's it. All the new customers are now in blue. How cool is that? You can also do advanced conditional formatting. We can actually use formulas with criteria. that will highlight or format the cells as you need based on more advanced criteria. That's for another day. So this is an incredible feature called conditional formatting. And we can move along to the next feature. This should look familiar because this is one of the ones that I showed you as well in my little fast demo in the beginning. This is a price list converted from PDF to Excel. There are a number of programs out there that actually do that. I've been using one in particular for a number of years that works pretty well. And it's necessary, especially nowadays, people do a whole lot more, not on paper, but on electronic files. So we get PDFs, we need to convert them into Excel, sometimes Word, and this is a mess. This is a price list, and you want to be able to use it and compare it to another list. As I mentioned in the very quick part of the demo, we're focusing on column E. And in column E, if there is no quantity in a row, that means there's no item. The other data here in column C, this is meaningless to me. All I want is items that have quantities because that's going to have the description and the price. That's all I need, rows with items. So I'm focusing on column E. Now, there's shortcuts that we could always use, like Control C is copy, and Control F is for find, B is for bold, Control G is for go to. You want to go within that range of cells, you place. That's actually the only option here. And wow, look at all these toys you have to play with. Let me move this down from my bar here. Okay, you have lots of toys to play with. In this case, which special place do I want to go to? I want to go to blanks. Excel now does me the kind favor of finding every single blank row in that range. All I have to do now is delete those rows like I normally do. I do it with the keyboard, bam, and it cleans it up. Now, if you wanted to get rid of the word quantity, we can do that as well. In this particular case, you have the word quantity throughout these cells. Well, you know you don't need the word quantity more than once, right? So what we do is very simple. We're going to highlight column E, and you have all used probably find or find and replace before. You can find the word quantity. And it works better if you spell it correctly, actually. It's not case sensitive unless you make it case sensitive. You can find the word quantity and replace it with what? Nothing. I want those cells to be blank. But wait a minute, I do need the first one, don't I? Because I want to have at least some header here. So I'm going to start and highlight all my cells below the first one. And now I'm going to replace all these other cells, except for the first one, with nothing. Now, what do I have? I have more blank cells. So I'm going to highlight column E. What am I going to do? Control G is go to. Within that range of cells, you want to go to a special place. Okay. The special place I want to go to is what? Blanks. Okay. If I click on OK, Excel will find every single blank row. And now all I have to do is delete it. And bam, you've got a perfectly clean list to work on. So again, I think by now you've seen there's virtually nothing you cannot do in 5 seconds or less. I'm going to show you just a couple more tricks that I've been showing you throughout. I've mentioned that I use the keyboard. So I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on the keyboard. I'm going to do a quick review, and then we'll have some time for questions. So I am a fanatic about getting things done. Sometimes I thought I should create an organization called Fanatics Anonymous, where I go into a room and say, hi, my name is Norman, I'm a fanatic. But anyway, I haven't done that yet. But being a fanatic can sometimes be good. If I can save 2 seconds, that's immaterial, right? No big deal. But let's say I do something 60 times a day. That's 2 minutes a day. That's 10 minutes a week on a standard work week. That's 500 minutes a year, which is more than 8 hours. That's a full day of your life saved for saving 2 seconds. What if you do that in 40 or 50 different ways? You're saving well over a month, maybe a month and a half of your life every year, just using simple, navigation tools or shortcuts. So it really does pay off. Okay, so one of the things we want to do is we want to learn to navigate. And I'm giving you away some incredible secrets here that very, very few people use, but I hope that you're going to use these and you're going to be saving tremendous amounts of time. You have a long, 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 long list. Now, this list is not that long. You have to stretch your imaginations here. If you want to get to the bottom of the list, you could scroll down and scroll down, or you could do page down or go down. It is all unnecessary. If you look on your keyboard, you're going to see a key spelled E-N-D, end. You tap the end key one time and simply hit the down arrow. Excel will then skip all cells with data until it sees a blank cell. And up, and down, and up, and down. It's that easy. Now, if something falls on your keyboard by accident and it goes, oh my gosh, what is my data? It's lost. Do not panic. Excel will skip all the cells that are blank until it sees data. Just tap the end key and tap the up arrow, and it finds the first cell with data, and whew, okay, you're back. You can breathe again. And down, and up, and right. And it'll stop when it gets to a blank cell. This is, first of all, that's valuable in of itself. You can save hours of time, but it really comes in especially handy when you want to highlight information. So let's say you had, I'll just make this bigger for presentation purposes. Let's say you had a whole bunch of information, you want to highlight it. You click and you drag, and then what happens? You go too far, it slips around, doesn't it? Am I right? It's hard to control sometimes, especially when you got thousands of items. So if you have this many items to do end down, end up, but if you want to highlight it, there's one little secret. Okay. I'd like to do this with a volunteer if I could. Can I have one volunteer again? Anybody? Brittany?
Oh, I was unmuting to.
I'll tell you what, Brittany, I'll volunteer you.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. So it really helps if you know how to spell. Okay. So we're going to give you a spelling test. R-O-L-A-I-D-S spells what? R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids?
Rolaids.
No, it spells relief. Sorry, it's an old commercial. I spent way too much time watching TV when I was growing up. It was an old commercial. Rolade spells relief. I can't get it out of my head. And that was their jingle thing. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. S-H-I-F-T spells what?
Shift.
No. Remember, I'm not going to ask any normal questions. S-H-I-F-T spells highlight. You have to remember that. Shift means highlight on the keyboard. They should have made that instead of shift, yes, it does spell shift, but it really means highlight, okay? So we play word association. I say up, you say down.
Right.
And I say girl, you say boy, I say right, you say
puppy.
Puppy, okay, and I say shift and you say
highlight.
Highlight, exactly, okay. You hold down your shift key. Now you tap the end key, tap the down arrow. Oh my gosh. Silly, but it's simple. So instead of having to go like this with your mouse, up too far. Oh my gosh, people literally lose hours a year doing that. Hold down the shift key, it means highlight and down. That's it. Shift and down. And you can move over or do end right, and you have all your data highlighted. It is that easy to use. Now, I can do shift and just use an arrow key if I only have 5 or 6 cells I want to get to. That's easy. Still easier than the mouse. But what if I wanted to highlight from A4 all the way down to, let's say, G15 or G30? I'd be hitting my keys an awful lot of times, wouldn't I? That's not much better than using the mouse. But watch this. Anywhere in the computer, you can select the first item you want, hold down the shift key, and then select the last item you want. Bam. And it'll select everything in between. And you don't have to say bam, it works anyway. So what you do is you select the first item you want. Let's say I'm using row 6 here, A6. I hold the shift key, and now I choose the last item I want. Bam. That's so easy. We can save literally hundreds of hours of time a year. And that's very significant because time is very valuable. So I'm going to do a quick review, and then we'll have some time for questions. We first did text to columns. Matter of fact, I'm going to close this file and reopen it so we can see it in the original form.
Norman, sorry, since you are going to review on text to columns, we do have a question regarding that.
Okay, so let's take it right now. Why not?
Okay, so is there a quick fix for text to columns when you have several entries with 3 names? Example, Jane Smith Johnson.
Well, yes, you can still use text to columns. It'll just break it up into 3 columns. So I'll do that right now. James Smith, what was the last name?
Johnson.
Johnson. I know it didn't matter, but I thought I'd do it for fun anyway. Okay, James Smith Johnson. So here's what's going to happen. If you were to use text to columns and separate this by space, it would tell you it's going to overwrite data because it's going to try to break up James and Smith and Johnson, right, into 3 parts. It'll have the first one, the second one, and third one. Watch what happens. We're going to do shift and down. Remember, I showed you before I was doing it really fast. That's how I did it. Isn't that disappointing? It's that easy. And everybody thought I was like some kind of genius or something. No, it's just easy to shift and down. You highlight. Okay, so I do shift and down. I'm going to choose data from the menu. And then I'm going to choose text to columns. And after I choose text to columns, I'm going to choose delimited. And I'm going to use a space. Now watch what happens when I hit finish. There is already data here. Do you want to replace it? Because it's trying to split up James and Smith and Johnson. It's going to leave James in column B. It's going to put Smith in column C. Actually, I should have inserted a column first. Darn it, I blew it. I'm trying once in my life to do a presentation without making a mistake. And it's never happened, I don't think, yet. All right, I forgot to insert a column. In this case, it was important. Okay, I highlighted my names. I'm going to do text to columns, delimited next, and then space. Now, it's going to keep the primary, the first name, James, in column B. It's going to put Smith in column C, but then there's another space, right? It's going to try to put that in D. So it warns you there's data here. Do you want to replace it? I'm not losing my phone numbers. So what do? It's simple. Insert a second column. And now you can choose text to columns. And next, I'm doing it with the keyboard and finish. There you go. Does that answer the question?
Mindy, I don't know if you want to unmute and elaborate. Oh, she put in the chat. How do you is there any way to get Smith and Johnson in the same column?
Right. So I used to do this all the time, and I had a list of 4,000 names, but about a third of them had a double last name, but I needed that to be in one column. So I needed Smith Johnson to be the last name, and what I would have to do is go through and find everybody, and it was less time consuming than other options, but
well, I mean, the simplest way to do it is to use text to columns like this.
And then concatenate those 2 columns?
And then put those 2 together, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could probably write a fancy formula to do it, but sometimes easier is better. Why rack my brains trying to think of some kind of fancy formula and when this will work just fine? But yeah, the answer is almost always yes. We can do almost anything we want. It's just a matter of figuring out what we want to do and how the data is and how consistent it is. So then we also did with commas. So I'll very quickly insert a column, select all my data, choose data, text to columns. It's really very simple. Delimited, it's almost always your choice. Next, in this case, I'm focusing on commas and finish. Then I showed you an example that we can do it with parts. You've got a whole bunch of parts, thousands of them, and some have a dash and some don't. The boss wants them split up. So I insert a column, grab all my data. Where do I go? Data, and then text to columns. Delimited is almost always my choice. That means it's a character you can focus on. It's just a fancy word. Don't be scared of it. And now there's no comma, there's no space, but what is there? There is an other character, a dash, a hyphen. So it'll split it up based on that. Finish. Then we showed you how you can separate ID numbers when there is no delimiter and no fixed width. And we used a simple text formula called equals right. And I forgot to put the other part in. Now that I screwed up and I made one mistake, I may as well keep making more. Comma 5. All right, equals right. How many characters from the right do you want of that cell? Comma, how many? 5. And then what did I show you? You can not click and drag when you get the black plus sign. Double click it, it fills in all of them. I had somebody in my class recently, I was teaching for a national convention. She said it was worth the whole class just to learn that trick. It's actually a cool one. Between me and you, I didn't know that one for years. I was teaching a class one somewhere and somebody taught it to me. I said, oh, thank you. Okay, so that's how you fill in all the formulas. And then we use equals left. How many characters from the left? I don't know. Could be 2 or 3 or 4. But if I took the length, the total number of characters from the original cell and subtract 5, I'd be left with just the number of letters. And then you just copy it down, and we can do that as well. I also showed you the flash fill, which is the most remarkable of all, where if you establish the pattern, if there is some kind of pattern, flash fill will fill all of them in automatically, and will even do something which I cannot begin to explain. It's just something that the developers programmed in, where you can put in a last name, comma, first name, and then it'll look over if there's a name in column somewhere. I don't even know how this works. And you can use flash fill to fill them all in for you, which is just beyond amazing. We touched on conditional formatting, where you can simply highlight, shift and down. See how useful that comes in? Shift and down, highlight everything. And we can apply in the home menu a feature called conditional formatting for highlight cells rules and say greater than, let's say, 15,000. And I can format it any way I want. I like to use bold and maybe purple. And all my numbers are now formatted exactly as I need them. And I showed you how you can clean up a PDF by deleting all the blank rows. Simply highlight an appropriate column, use go to and special and blanks, and now you can delete those rows. It only takes 2 seconds. So that is my presentation for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't tell because unfortunately we cannot meet in person yet. Maybe one day that will be possible. And if it is, I hope I get invited back. And if there are any questions, Brittany, I can take them now. And if people didn't like it, I guess it's good we're doing it virtually, because then if they're throwing eggs at me or tomatoes, I don't get hit. But hopefully everybody enjoyed it.
I'm checking the chat right now. I don't see any questions. I see a lot of gratitude. Thank you. Everyone found it very informative and very helpful. We addressed Mindy's question. But again, if there's a question that I'm missing, feel free to unmute or resend it in the chat, please. We're getting great thumbs up and great feedback here. But with regards to questions, are there any specific questions? Anyone have anything that wasn't covered?
I'm actually shocked if there wouldn't be. Now, I hope I explained things well enough and slowly and clearly enough that people would understand how to do these features. Again, it's hard. People need to practice and use them, obviously. But at the same time, it usually wakes, it kind of jogs people. Oh, man, there was something I wanted to do. And just like Mindy asked. But if there's any questions, I'm willing to stick around for a little while, whatever you'd like.
And just to elaborate on that or to build off of that, this entire presentation has been recorded. So we will be putting this on our YouTube channel, and we will send out a link for everyone to view. So if you ever do want to reference it back, and if you were taking notes or you might have missed something, you want to look at it again, that will be available.
And I'll just mention also, I didn't really introduce myself very much. You did read some of the information about things that I do. I do teach Word and Outlook and some PowerPoint as well. There are some features that people need sometimes. I don't usually focus too much on that because people basically don't need it that much anymore, but some people might use it, and I definitely have some cool stuff to show in those areas as well. And also, I'm a QuickBooks Pro advisor, so I help with QuickBooks work as well for many, many years. And again, if there's any questions, if people want to shout them out, that's fine. And just tell me, Brittany, if you want me to stick around, whatever you'd like, I am here.
Well, we're always very good about being very conscientious and considerate of everyone's time. So I think we're doing really well on that right now. We usually try to keep these under an hour under. We will, like I said, this has been recorded, so we will put it up on our YouTube channel and send the information out. We will also send you your contact information, Norman. So if anyone does want to reach out to you, call you, or email you, they can do so if they have any further questions. But I think you're good.
So yeah, I was prepared till 3 o'clock. So again, if you want me to stick around, I can stick around, and whatever you say.
I think we're good. I think we're going to call it right now.
Okay.
And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Great information, Norman. So informative, so educational.
Thank you so much. And we'll hopefully see everybody some other time, and definitely in person. That would be great.
Absolutely.
One day. Okay. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Bye, everybody.